What's going on, gang? Hope it finds everybody well. On today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is the final prep for my ultra marathon. Those that know, I'm competing with Mr. Bradley Foster in the 7 Valleys Challenge, which is part of the 13 Valleys ultra marathon race in the Lake District. We're only doing the 7 Valleys, which is 110k. The 13 Valleys is 184k, I think. But you have to have a license to do that, and I'm not built for that one. In my race, we're going to be covering 3,800 meters of elevation. We're obviously going to be running from through Ambleside around Keswick for the 110k itself. Key things that we have to distinguish on this compared to any other race is obviously the elevation. A couple of weeks ago, around in Snowdon, in that position, which is very similar to the terrain that I did 1,800 meters of elevation over 42k. It gave me a massive insight on how I'm actually going to run this race. If you're a participant in ultramarathon races before, you guys will know that actually the way that you run an ultramarathon is very, very different to a normal marathon or a triathlon or an Ironman. It's a lot more run walking. It's a lot more actually adventure terrain. So you going over boulders and going up, we'll be literally going over peaks. And lastly, something that I have to consider is actually fueling strategy, just because of fueling strategy and also what the weather's going to be doing. Those that are in the UK know the Lake District is notorious for having this push button of suddenly going from glorious sunshine to absolutely horrendous rain. So kit list to follow. We'll be doing this. So we're going to be documenting the whole journey and the actual race itself, and I'll be doing my full kit list when I'm there. But on a personal piece, I'm 3.5 weeks. I've got 3.5 weeks before the actual race itself. And what I've been doing is incrementally increasing my volume. I've got 10 more days, which next week is going to be peak week, where I'll be hitting just over 100k in 1 week. Something that's worked for me and something that I found very, very sort of important to my training, because I'm not naturally an endurance athlete. Those that have watched my channel before, ex-professional rugby player, BJJ fighter, I would like to say I work around the powerlifting, and I hate the term hybrid, but more I do strength and conditioning. But now I'm working more strength and endurance bias things. I found that if I do too much volume on a consistent basis, i.e., the other week I did 78k and then I went for another 80k. I actually started breaking down. I had a tiny tear in my Achilles, and what that did is it set me back a week or two. Now I'm back fully recovered. I'm back in the game, but my training changed. And if you're a beginner, this might work for you. I actually undulated my intensities each week. This week I'm on a down week, so I'm actually only doing 60k. Next week I'm doing 100. But what I worked with, I went 40k, 65k. 55k, 75k. This week now what I'm working at I'm going to hit 60k, and then we're going to ultimately hit 100k across the race. Ultimately, what you want to be able to do is if you're periodizing your own training, and some of you are following programs and some of you are using other coaches, but what you want to be looking at is you're trying to either go to very, very close race volume, i.e. I'm doing 100, it was actually 108 point something k according to the GPX file. According to their website, it says 110. I'm going to 100. If you are somebody who is a little bit lighter than me, or you've done a bit more training in relation to endurance events, you want to try and super compensate and maybe go even more. So you could actually work up to 120. Me personally, I want to get to the start line. I want to finish. What I want to be able to do is continually move. Again, from a movement standpoint, I'm looking at about 7k an hour. It does start off at 8k an hour around when you're on flat and that kind of thing. But you soon get into a position where actually, the biggest thing that I found with ultra endurance is not letting your ego take over. When you feel good, you want to bang it. When you feel good, you want to push yourself, and you actually really want to sort of get after it, i.e. start covering 6-minute Ks and whatever. But what I've also found now is that slow is smooth is fast. Last week, I did 54k in 7 hours 20. A whole new experience. I've ran 58k with a weighted vest across Singapore, which was 5 years ago. That was very different to this, purely on the basis that it was flat. I've also ran 75k up Mount Snowdon, but I was doing that in 15k intervals with a 2-hour break. So this was really my first ultra. Ran midweek. Obviously, the best thing you could do on a Wednesday is run an ultra marathon. Biggest lessons from running that 52k, apart from when I hit it's 54k. When I hit the door, I realized I had to do it again. Was fueling strategy is imperative. So knowing your fueling strategy. Secondly, sodium levels. I over sodiumed. I had too much sodium at one point at 40k, just under 38k. I didn't have much water left, and I took on 1,000 milligrams of sodium in bolus form. So I poured a sachet in my mouth because I didn't have that much water. I didn't want to use that in my water. And what that did is it actually gave me a bit of gut issues. I started to absorb too much water in my gut, and it felt like I couldn't actually get any water. It felt like it was sloshing around. Maybe feel sick. So if you're taking on sodium, make sure you're putting it in equal amounts of water, i.e. 1,000 milligrams should be in about 1,000 in a litre of water. 500 milliliters is the least you can do. But learning this on the move is the most important thing, and actually learning from your training experience. For me, the amount that I've learned, everything from where I put if you're not using lube already, underneath your armpits is massive. For me, obviously, abusing yourself around your hips, your thighs, ass, you don't want to get chub rub. My lower back as well, wearing my pack. All those things you learn on the move, you want to be learning them through your training week. So for me personally now, I've got today 10K. As I said, I'm running 60K this week. I'm splitting that up. So we do 3 days a week run, 3 gym. This week, I'll run 4 times. Next week, I'm running every day bar Saturday and then doing a big one on Sunday. So if you're periodizing your volume, the key thing is not to shoot your bolt too quickly and just do everything at once, and understand that when you're getting to this the peak time, I've absolutely had enough. And your one thing I think is not really talked around in the performance space is motivation. I dread putting my running trainers on now. I used to love trail running, but now I'm just like, oh, this is a means to an end. But that actually means you're quite ready for the race. For me, I want to get to race day, and it targets 18 hours. So if I go anything underneath that, we've achieved. If I go over that, it's just part of the game, because again, I'm not really sure of the terrain. I never ran in the Lake District. Maybe that's something that I would have changed. But point being, I live in the Peak District, so I've still got elevation. I've still got 500 meters of elevation where I live. So if you're someone who is taking on the 13 valleys, the 7 valleys, or an ultra marathon that is more than just 52K, as I said, we're doing 110. Just realize the amount of this has been 6 month journey. And this is what the demotivation has been, because I've been continually hitting the ticket over that period of time. And it's very normal to start getting bored of your process. But the key to this is relishing being bored. If you have to learn that high performance is not necessarily like an entertainment piece. High performance is you being able to do the boring things well when you don't want to do them, and click the ticket. So I've got 10 days, biggest volume, 2-week taper. From a taper perspective, what you're looking to do is it depends who you are, but you're trying to put down about 50% of your volume. So I'll probably go down from average week's been about 50K. I'll probably do about 30K a week leading into the race. And then obviously from a race prep standpoint, it'll be dialed right in. In the next episode, what I'll be talking around, we'll be actually be at the race itself, signing in, showing you my kit, how we're doing carb loading. I did a video about carb loading for my Ironman. It's going to be very much the same principle, between 8 or 10 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight for 2 days. Ladies, if you're doing this, it needs to be 3 days because of glycogen replenishment. And then it's absolutely send it. Let's get after it. So stay tuned. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Most people that will be watching this, I'll be probably going into the race when this comes out. If you have any questions around your prep, how to sort of tailor your periodization leading into a race, or how you're peaking for a race, drop a comment, send a message. I'll be more than happy to help.